Hello, I'm Justin Hill, prize-winning author and creator of Worlds of Words, and welcome to Advent 2023. And as I'm approaching 20 novels published, I thought it'd be kind of interesting to go back and look at and talk about some of the 12 novels that kind of tell a story. And today, number 11, I thought I would pick what I think is my best novel. And that is, drum roll, Viking Fire. Not only does it have me on the cover, it's not actually me, but it looks very similar. My wife often jokes that kind of 3 months into a novel, I suddenly say, I remembered how to write a novel. And that kind of relief just kind of rushes through me, which is probably an understanding of how to write that particular novel I'm working on, because each one's slightly different. And Viking Fire came after Shield Wall, which took me 5 years, and kind of disturbed me that, at that rate I would, barely make a living and barely write another 4 books before I died. And then Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which showed me the exact opposite. And so I was halfway through Viking Fire when Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon came on my kind of desk. It was supposed to be called The Last Viking, and it should be The Last Viking, and I'm still annoyed about it. But some other guy, I can't remember his name, he published a book called The Last Viking about 2 years before. I was already writing it, and my editor said no, can't call it Last Viking, and I couldn't really think of a better name. It is The Last Viking. And if you pick it up and read it, please think it's The Last Viking. When it was translated into German, I said, okay, I had a German friend, and actually a Viking academic, and I said, I want to call it The Last Viking. So she said, you can't really call it that. Anyway, I can't remember what it was called, but it's something closer to The Last Viking than Viking Fire. Anyway, I was working on Viking Fire when I came across a very kind of simple way of plotting scenes, and it just gave me a really kind of good way of working out what had to be in the story and what didn't. I made quite a bold choice of dropping most of the second half of Harald Hardrada's life, because that's in the saga and it's covered in the saga. And I was just really pleased. And of course, the book benefits by being about Harald Hardrada, who I do think is one of the most extraordinary characters in medieval history. And, kind of a Renaissance prince, 100 years before his time, an adventurer, went to Jerusalem to set up the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, possible lover to one of the women of the palace, professional soldier. I can go on, but suffice to say, of the 3 men who were vying for the king of the crown of England in 1066, Harald Hardrada, if you were a betting man, was odds-on favourite, absolute kind of giant of a man who, frankly, should have beaten Harold Godwinson and William the Conqueror easily. Anyway, he didn't, alas. And it was just telling his story was so much fun. And I started his story in Hong Kong, and I finished it in England. And from my house, I can see the book starts at the Battle of Fulford Gate in York and ends obviously at the Battle of Stamford Bridge. And I could stand on the wall and look out over the hedge, and we have a great view down over to the Vale of York, and you can see the Minster and York on the right hand side, and you can see the wolds, and where Stamford Bridge lies just under the wolds in East Yorkshire, on the left hand side. And I thought, wow, amazing. I started this novel 3 years ago, and here I am. I can see its kind of extent from my garden. Anyway, Viking Fire, I think my best novel. I can witter on about this for hours. But that's number 11, which makes me think what could be number 12. We'll find out tomorrow.